I'm Robbie Davis, and have the privilege of being the chair of the Nash County Commissioners. At this time, I'm just going to have the invocation and ask Eric Packard, who is right up the road here with Sandy Cross United Methodist Church, to perform that for us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Robbie. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to the community of Sandy Cross for inviting me to be a part of this event. I've heard this morning that it's quite a historical event. As one who just moved here in July, I know that this is the end of a long process, or the beginning of the end of a long process. How about that? And so we are excited. I know myself and my family are excited to be a part of this. Let us pray. O God, who established this place and this community so long ago, we come today to seek your blessing and protection as we cast before you our dreams for Miracle Park. In this place, on this ground, where for centuries crops determine the livelihood of this community, we again ask your blessing upon this land, that Miracle Park may still be a place for growth and a rich harvest. Where crops of potatoes and cotton and tobacco once grew, we ask that you may grow within this community a desire for recreation, a love for all of our neighbors, and common bond in the joy, laughter, exercise, and rest that Miracle Park may provide. We ask for the safety of all those who are coming to work on this land. We ask for the care and protection of all those who will enjoy this land for generations to come. O God, we leave the physical, mental, and spiritual health of this community and this park in your hands. Amen.
Very well done. Thank you. First thing I always try to do is recognize the other commissioners that are here. On the front right here, Miss Richardson, good morning. Miss Wells, congratulations on your recent election back to the board. And Wayne Outlaw. And as I said, I'm Robbie Davis. We have 3 other commissioners. 2 of them are tied up with medical procedures today, and one of them from this area took a vacation after a long election season out of the country, and I really don't blame her, quite frankly. I was preparing just a few notes because we have quite a few speakers today, which shows a lot of interest in what we're doing. I thought it was fascinating that I pulled out my old Recreation and Parks Facility Master Plan, the first one we did. And I was looking through it just to refresh my memory on what we did. And I noticed inside, as I showed Patsy just a minute ago, I had a note to myself that said received 11/14/04. So apparently I got this book given to me by Miss McGee on this same date 14 years ago. In this park plan, it had 3 parks outlined that we would be doing. This one was not one of them. And you're going to hear from the person toward the end of the list here today that is responsible for making it one of them, Mr. Winstead, and we greatly appreciate that. Don't make you cry. Don't want to make anybody cry. It's a very, very happy day. We are here today to welcome a new facility to Nash County. It's the Nash County Miracle Park at Coopers. What a fantastic name. And believe it or not, we spent a lot of time selecting that name, trying to incorporate the right things. There's 3 communities that came together to bring us this park. It was, of course, Coopers, Westmount, and Macedonia. And also in looking, I noticed in some literature that I was looking at that Nash County has a population percentage of 24% of people that have some type of disability. And of course, that's many different kinds. But the fascinating thing about this park, I think it will be a great help to all of those 20% of the people, in that it is a miracle park, and it will be here for anyone that has any special needs, whether they're kids, whether they're adults. The old saying that Miss Wells uses a lot is it takes a village to raise a child. That is very true. It also takes a village to build and utilize a park. And I'm pleased to say in this park there will be something in it for everyone in Nash County, from senior citizens, a very nice walking trail, to the special needs playground that you will have. And I think you'll be very fascinated with that once you see it going up. As I said, I'm going to be brief. Ms. Wells, if you would come up. I want to also thank our park committee, which consisted of 3 commissioners. It was Mr. Outlaw, Ms. Wells, and myself. And good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm going to stay here with you.
I can promise you mine is short. I'm so excited to have a part of the future of this park. This is something that you have been planning and worked for a long time, but it takes all of us working together to make it come true. And because of your willingness to sell us the land and come together and meet with us, and for the commissioner's willingness to step out and help put it together, this park is going to be a great thing. The great thing about this park is that it includes everybody. Nobody's left out. There's no other park like it, and we're going to be the first one to have it, and it's going to be right here in Nash County. And I'm so excited about it, and I look forward to meeting you here the day we have the new park open, and we're all out here to celebrate. Thank you.
I'm going to say one more thing about the early years in recreation. When I became a commissioner 16 years ago, Nash County didn't have any recreation whatsoever. I recall when we voted to employ this firm to do this facility plan here, it was a 4-3 vote on our commissioners. There are 3 of the commissioners that are left here today: myself, Miss Richardson, and Fred Belfield. Miss Richardson, I know you don't remember this probably, but the morning that we took this vote, you caught me in the back room and you said, "Robbie, I think your recreation's in trouble. It looks like you only got 4 votes." I said, "Miss Richardson, only got 3 votes." I said, "Miss Richardson, are you one of those 3? She said, "Yes, I absolutely am." And she said, "But you need to find another one right quick," in which I was able to do in about 10 minutes. But it did pass on a 4-3 vote, and that we're here today because of that. Next speaker is our great county manager, and I won't say what I said last time I introduced you, but a great county manager, Z. Lamb. And Z, if you will, bring up our grantees when you finish up.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I will do it. Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. Big crowd. This really has been a long-range plan that is now coming to fruition thanks to a lot of people. As county manager, I got to thank my staff, Patsy and Thomas and Stacy and everybody that's been part of the planning process. But there's a lot of people to thank, and so would everybody just raise your hand? Yeah, just yeah. No. Really, Mr. Winstead, wherever he went, there he is. He has, as everyone knows, has had this dream for many, many years, and Mr. Outlaw worked with him to get things moving, and it's taken a while, but we're gonna get there. We've employed Stocks to do the engineering work, but I'd like to thank a few of our partners in this process, and some of them will speak in a few minutes. But we got a $500,000 PARTIF grant, which we had to match with $500,000. We got a $750 grant from Trillium, our mental health care provider, and huh? Did I say million? I'm sorry.
No, you said dollars, but that's quite
$750,000. Mr. Peterson and Amy Corbett, y'all are here. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. We also got $125,000 from the legislature, thanks to Senator newly re-elected Senator Rick Horner. We received some money from Major League Baseball, believe it or not. Thomas and Patsy went after a grant out of New York City, and thank you so much. That was a great catch, and catch. But I know we got a lot of people on the agenda, and I could sit here and talk, but I know Mr. Winstead's going to say most of the things I'm going to say. So thank you all for being here. Thanks to the county commissioners for making this commitment. This is phase one. This is a long-term project that will do nothing but grow, and it'll really provide recreation opportunities for people in this part of the county and all of the county, as well as surrounding counties. Again, thanks everybody, and at this time I'll introduce Jennifer Beedle with Recreation Resources Service, better known as part of.
Right. Thanks, Z. Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. As Z said, my name is Jennifer Beedle. I represent the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. And I can just say that it's been my privilege to work with the county over the past couple of years to see this project come together. And just to say a couple of things about the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, it is a dollar for dollar matching grant. So the county would provide half of the match, which was $500,000, and that's a big deal. Not everybody gets that much money. So that just shows how hard everybody worked. Patsy, Thomas, Stacy, Z, and all of the county commissioners just providing 100% support for this project. And this is also the county's very first Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. So that's something to be super proud of. It's something that I am proud of the county for, and happy to just be a part of it, and looking forward to continuing to be a part of it over the 3-year contract, and probably most likely after even that. So we're just very lucky here in North Carolina to have the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. And thank you for your support, Mr. Horner, for continuing to promote the program in our Senate. So we really do appreciate that. In partnerships, I did want to recognize the partnership with Trillium, $750,000 to match $500,000. In this being the county's first, I guess their first owned and operated park, it says a lot. And that's just another aspect of park building and community development, to see all these partners and agencies come together like Trillium, USA Baseball, the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, and of course, I want to recognize Mr. Winstead for all of his contribution and support of this project here at Cooper's neighborhood. Because without your spearheading all of this, I don't think we would be standing here today. So congratulations again, this is an awesome day. It's my pleasure to work with you guys, and I look forward to the future. Thank you.
At this time, we will hear from Mr. Dave Peterson, who is with Trillium, which you've already heard has given the county $750,000 for this project.
Thank you, Z. Good morning. It's been a really nice last 2 years, year and a half. The county commissioners, Z and Stacy, have been very welcoming for Trillium to come in and serve people with mental health, developmental disabilities, and substance use services. And part of the relationship has been this park. I want to thank Amy for being the project manager of this. But I will say, this county has been very, very open for letting us come in and try to serve people with disabilities. And so part of the give back to the community is the donation for this park to get started. And I can't wait until the actual ribbon cutting, where I can tell you a little more stories about how this has impacted many of our other counties with inclusive parks. So once again, thank you very much for having us here.
Yeah, briefly, I want everybody to know that Trillium, we joined them in July of 16, I believe, and since that time, or even before that time, they've given over $11 million to counties and cities in their catchment area to build parks like this. So that's really a commitment, giving money back to the communities, and it's made a difference to us, definitely. At this time, I'll introduce again the newly re-elected senator from Nash County, Rick Horner.
And Johnston.
Johnson.
And they don't have countywide recreation. Very fortunate, glad to be here today. I'll be uncharacteristically brief. This is another example of Nash County finding a way to fund a capital project without property tax increases. It's an incredible characteristic of our county. Proud to say I've had a small part in that, in this endeavor, in our schools. And it's just incredible that we can provide for the future. Where rural counties have very little avenues for revenue other than property tax, and to do things like this without raising your taxes is pretty incredible. And I commend our county commissioners for that. That's a lot of hard work and a lot of hands out to get this thing to happen. Just to wrap up, to say this is another great example of infrastructure planning for future growth. As many of us grew up here. This is our home. But we're going to see a lot of strangers come in the next 20, 30 years. And the infrastructure work today for our schools, our county water, our parks and recreation is going to serve us well in the years to come. Now let's move on to wireless internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. There's really 8 people that I give credit for this endeavor, and 7 of them are county commissioners, and the other one is Mr. Harold Winstead. I think everybody knows he's been on this project for many years, and without his absolute commitment, I'm not sure we'd be here right now. But again, at this time, I'll introduce Mr. Harold Winstead with the Coopers Community Development Corporation. And fellow Rotarian.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Z. I appreciate that. I'm not ashamed of that Cooper's cap, but Roger tells me I'm supposed to take it off before I speak. I may take off this jacket. Guys, I left those sport jackets at home this morning. But I thank everyone for coming. For several years, I talked about the park, and my biggest response was, it'll be a cold day in Nash County before you'll have a park at Coopers. And it is. And it is. Folks, this is the best birthday present I have ever received. Paul, I don't mean that. But thank you for helping my dream come true. If I start crying, you just have to forgive me. But in 2004, when the Nash County Commissioners approved a $10.4 million program to establish a parks and recreation program for Nash County, and they had a master plan done, and Cooper's community was not in that master plan. Right, Patsy?
That's right.
It got my attention. I'm a Cooper's guy, of course. Red Oak has something, we have to have something.
right? I addressed the Nash County Commissioners at that time, and they were very positive. They assured me that Coopers could be included and have a park if we could raise some funds like the incorporated communities had done. Well, there was two problems with that. Number one, we had no money. And number two, we were not incorporated. For those of you that may not be familiar with this area, Coopers, Westmount, and Macedonia made up the exact school district for the old Coopers High School, which I was part of. Thank the Lord. But I think that these three communities, and it's beginning to rain, these three communities have a significant impact economically, involving property taxes and sales taxes. So 12 years ago, I approached the county commissioners and asked them to help us build a park at Coopers. And the master plan was amended in 2014 to include a park at Coopers. So again, we had to have some money. So I think I was president of the club at that time. In 2005, is that right, Jane? In 2005, I asked the Coopers Rewarding Club to help finance the legal formation of the Coopers Community Development Corporation, and they did. And the purpose of that group was to promote and escalate the building of a park in Coopers and to provide some supplemental funds. Since then, our group has been very actively at work, and thank you, Peggy and Jane and all you board members. But we've been very actively at work selling naming rights. I guess we were sort of advised that may be our best avenue, sell naming rights. So we have sold naming rights or selling naming rights for everything in this park except a few blades of grass. But we're going to try anyway. We may sell some of those.
I'll take these right here.
As of today, the naming rights for all 4 ball fields, baseball diamonds, have been sold for $10,000 each. The naming rights for 2 soccer fields, $10,000 each, have been sold. And the basketball courts are in negotiation. I think that's a good way to put that. The large picnic shelter, the one of 2 that Robbie has told me that we could have. In phase one, and we're talking phase one, in phase one, will be 20 by 30 or 40. Did you say 20 by 40? Yes, sir. 20 by 40. Okay, that's better than I thought. That'll be the large one. My family has purchased that in honor of me and my wife. We have sold already a number of park benches, tables, flagpoles to complete phase one. And I do want to thank everyone who has stepped up and helped us, and especially my board members that have helped us raise these funds. The total cost, I believe, is at 2.4 and rising. But we are now working on phase 2. That's already underway. We have 3 tennis courts to name, 2 dog parks, an 18-hole disc golf course. That's hard to say. Advertising for 4 scoreboards and fencing advertisement will be available in a few days, Jane. As soon as I won't say that. Activate my group. Some of you have brochures there in your hand, and you'll know what I'm talking about. If you would like, you can complete those. If you'd like to remember a loved one or memorialize someone in your family here in the Miracle Park, just fill out the back side of that form there, drop it in the mail. The address is there to Jane Tyson. Include your check. Don't forget to include your check. I want to thank Trillium for what they have done. They sort of made it happen, didn't they? They sort of made it happen, along with the county commissioners. But that's $750,000 to build a unique park, especially designed and will be built with safe playground equipment for all children in Nash County. This park here will replace, somewhat of a sad note, we, the Coopers Rooting Club and the Coopers Fire Department, have had a baseball field for over 60 years in this community. I coached a little league at one time. We've always been interested in sports in this area, and just because of the circumstance geographically maybe, we just didn't qualify because we were not incorporated. But we're going to get there. Again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the commissioners and Patsy McGee, Thomas, and all of your staff for their leadership and financial support. I'd also like to thank all my board members, because they've been a big help and a big support. Especially I'd like to thank those people along the way, Bobby Joe, that encouraged me every time I saw them at the post office. You stay on those commissioners now, you stay on those commissioners. Thank you, Bobby. I needed that encouragement. My family, of course, and I have to thank my family and, of course, Dottie. I sure miss her. Today, we're going to turn the soil on this farm where I primed tobacco when I was 15 years old. This farm is the farm that Hootie Bone grew up on, and some of you may not know who. Debbie, are you here? Is Debbie here? I didn't see her. Hootie was playing ball with the St. Louis Cardinals at the time I was priming tobacco here on this farm with his brother. But Debbie and Jimmy are one of the sponsors of one of the baseball fields in memory of Hootie Bone. And I know most of you probably know Hootie. But when I was 18 years old, I measured land here measured this farm for the ASC office. And Bobby, you know what I'm talking about. But the farm later was owned by the Calvin Horn family, and last year they very graciously agreed to work with us and sell the farm for this purpose. Ironically, Jane, as you know, the very first approach that we made to a landowner was Calvin Horn for this farm. But time changes everything, and 10 years is long enough, and so things did change in 10 years, and this farm became available. It's just ironic. It's a full circle. But today we turn the soil here on this tobacco farm, as I call it, and we're going to transition this from a tobacco field, as someone has already said, this good fertile land, to grow young boys and girls into men and women with healthy bodies, minds, and spirit to lead this community to greater heights. Again, I thank everyone who has made my dream come true, not only for the memories of the past, but for the dreams of the future. As we saw in the movie, build it and they will come. Build it and dreams will come true. Not only for me, but for many, many kids and people in the future. Thank you all, and God bless this Nash County Miracle Park at Coopers.
Everybody should have gotten, he described the brochure that's got naming rights. One thing he left off of there is the naming rights, and we're going to set a price of probably $10,000 for our new swimming pool. But that was a new addition when we got here this morning. I hadn't seen that yet. Thank y'all for that. Thank you. At this time, I'll introduce our very able Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Thomas Gillespie.
Thank you, Z. Good morning. My name is Thomas Gillespie, Parks and Recreation Director here with the Nash County Recreation and Senior Services Department. It is definitely an honor and a privilege to be speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony this morning for the Nash County Miracle Park at Coopers. This is truly an exciting and long-awaited day, not just for the citizens in Westmount, Coopers, and Macedonia, but for citizens all over Nash County. The Parks and Recreation Department is looking forward to providing recreational opportunities for young residents, senior residents, and people with all abilities. This new 46.5-acre park will provide residents and visitors the opportunity to socialize, play, and it will assist with the improvement of quality of life. I am blessed to be a part of a recreation department that works for a great organization. Our county commissioners and county administration truly understands the importance of recreation and leisure here in Nash County. My staff and I, we are excited to provide new programming and services that will meet the community needs and demands. We are looking forward to late spring or early summer so we can see kids playing together on our state-of-the-art, all-inclusive playground. We are looking forward to seeing families come out and enjoy the baseball and softball fields, our basketball courts, walking trail, and other amenities at the park. To conclude my remarks, I would like to say thank you to our Nash County Board of Commissioners, County Manager Z. Lamb, Assistant County Manager Stacy Chatzer, for all the support of recreation programs here in Nash County. Thank you to Patsy McGee and her staff for their contributions and effort in helping us secure grant funding for the Miracle Park here at Coopers. I would also like to thank Trillium Health Resources, Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, Major League Baseball Tomorrow Fund, North Carolina General Assembly, Mr. Harold Winstead and the Coopers Community Development Corporation, Twin County Catalyst for their financial support for this project. Thank you to our former county engineer, Mike Tolson, Mike Phillips in the Maintenance Department, Stocks Engineer, POT, Cunningham Recreation for all the inspections and designs on this project. Once again, thank you to everyone involved in this project, and I'm excited to see the development. Thank you.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce a gentleman that doesn't really need an introduction in District 5, Wayne Outlaw. Wayne, come on forward, and ask Wayne if he'd mind being the closing speaker, and he probably wouldn't have too much to say if allowed me to do that. But as I said, he doesn't need any introduction. In fact, Mr. Outlaw also is up this time, and he got 100% of the votes that were cast for this district.
You know, when Robbie and I talked about my comments today, I asked Robbie, I said, now, Chairman, what do you think I should specifically talk about? And he looked at me without hesitation, and he said, Wayne, you should talk about 5 minutes, and then you should shut up. So that's probably what I'm going to do if you'll indulge me for about 6 minutes. I promise you that I will shut up. I may repeat some things you've heard. If I do, then I think those things are worth repeating. I will say good morning. Good morning. And I thank you for being with us today as we dedicate this very special place. It's very special to me. It's my home. It's Nash County, the Nash County Miracle Park at Coopers. Appropriately named Miracle Park due to the special amenities that will be featured in the park, specifically in the all-inclusive playground as well in other planned areas of the park. Prior to my service on the Nash County Board of Commissioners, it was my great opportunity 10 years ago to serve on the Coopers Development Corporation's Board of Directors. So I have a strong appreciation for what we're doing today, and I have a great appreciation for the gentleman that brought this vision to the Nash County Board. And I remember very distinctly, Harold, I asked Harold, would he recommend me to be appointed to the Nash County Board? And Harold said, yes, if you'll promote my park. And you know what, Harold? You wouldn't have had to say that because I would have promoted this park anyway. But Harold's vision today becomes a reality. In addition to Harold and his board for their support, including significant financial support through donations with naming rights, I want to thank the following, some you've already heard from, for their support in getting us to this point. Please hold your applause until I recognize those people that I think are worthy of recognition again. And if I omit someone, then I apologize in advance. I think it'd be very appropriate to recognize our county manager. I thank him for what he's done and what his staff has done to bring us to this point. And I think it's very special thanks, very, very special thanks to Patsy McGee. Patsy, you deserve a lot of credit for what we're doing today. Thank you. You are very much appreciated by the Nash County Board of Commissioners. I want to thank our Assistant County Manager, Stacy Schatzer. She has been very involved in this process. I want to thank our Nash County Engineering Group, Mike Phillips, and I especially want to thank Mike Tolson. Where are you, Mike? Mike, you were here when we started this thing, and I appreciate you being here and supporting us today. I also want to thank Thomas Gillespie, Nash County Parks and Recreation Director. It'd be very appropriate to thank Stocks Engineering, a local firm that has assisted with the layout of the park and will manage construction of the park. Trillium Health Resources for their significant investment in the park through grant funding of the all-inclusive playground. The North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund for awarding Nash County a sizable grant for the overall development of the park. Senator Rick Horner for financial support he secured through the General Assembly. Senator Horner, we know we can always count on you, and congratulations on your re-election. The Major League Baseball Association for their financial support with field development. Twin Counties Catalyst providing financial support for signage. And last but certainly very important to the Nash County Board of Commissioners, as we have worked diligently and transparently to bring this park to fruition. Thank you to the citizens, especially in the Coopers community, who have worked in cooperation and positive way with the park committee, myself, Ms. Wells, and Chairman Davis, as we have tried to bring this park to fruition. It is a place we will all be proud of, I promise you that. Phase 1 of the park, as with future phases, will include something for youth and adults, specifically a miracle park like no other in this area, an all-inclusive playground which will meet the needs of our youth, including those with special needs, baseball, softball fields, basketball courts, a concession stand, restrooms, a walking trail, and special events lawn for picnics, etc. And Chairman Davis, somebody asked me this morning, said, can we put a golf course on the a golf cart on the walking trail? I don't know, but we'll talk about that. Wants to bring Mom over and ride her around on the walking trail. Future development of the park with timing dependent upon the availability of funding will include a disc golf course, fenced dog park, soccer fields, tennis courts, and hopefully a splash park and more. This park represents a significant investment by Nash County as well as many others in what is our most important asset. What do you think that is? Our people, youth and adults. As we close this ceremony today, I want to leave you with some powerful words that were spoken by Pete Armstrong, former Parks and Recreation Director for the city of Rocky Mount, now retired from the state of North Carolina as Director of Recreation Resources. Mr. Armstrong spoke these words at the 2017 dedication ceremony for the Castalia Park, and they remain very appropriate for today. Listen to these words. Some of you thought we were gathering today to open a park with playground, shelter, and other recreational amenities, but it is so much more than that. With this park, we are creating a place where our children can learn the lessons of life while playing with other children. We are creating a place where everyone, youth and adults, can improve their health and well-being while fellowshipping together and having fun. We are creating a place where we can play, relax, and refresh together, no matter our age, religion, gender, race, net worth, or nationality. We are creating a place that elevates the quality of life for the community as well as the community at large, and makes it an area where people will want to live and raise their families. Last but by no means least, we are creating a place that protects a portion of the land and preserves it for all times so that future generations may also reap its benefits. Support of and or financial investment in facilities like this in Nash County make a bold statement, telling others who we are, but more importantly, what we value. Thank you again for being with us today, for dedication of this very special place, a place that tells others what Nash County values, our people. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know how I overlooked this, but that brochure you have in your hand was designed and redesigned by my son. Every time I got a call from Robbie, he'd have to redesign it and change the format. It was page 1, page 2. The other thing is that the first meeting we had, and you inducted our officers for our Couples Community Development Corporation, AB Swindell made us a contribution. So I don't know, Rick, maybe we'll talk a little bit later. You've helped us with a nice contribution, and we appreciate it. But AB did make one of the early contributions to our group. So thank you again. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and I just, before we go to the shovels, in addition to our county commissioners and our state senator, Rick Horner, we also have another elected official here today that for the first time in 50 years, somebody other than Rachel Joyner will be our clerk of court, and that's Linda Thorne is here, just elected. Yeah.